Bringing our man Jason Jones. Jason Jones with his look. I just
Just
wipe
for
that
you, Kenny.
stupid look off your face.
Yeah.
Just for you. Spent all weekend making fun of everybody. What I tell you, worry about Monday.
You don't worry about nothing. I didn't make fun of anybody. I
Yes, you
just thought,
did. You're up
who'd I
there.
make fun of?
Yeah. Good job, Thunder. Good job,
I
everyone.
wasn't making fun of anybody. I said good work to the Rockets. What are you talking about?
Okay. Game recognized game, You
Public
jinxed.
enemy
Yeah,
number one.
yeah.
I wish I had that much power.
I always know when Jason's ready to cook because we'll open up the stream and he's just got this little smirk on his face.
Get that stupid look off your face.
I know thanks to our boy in San Francisco, I'm now been drug into the Kings Warriors thing now.
Well, I saw Bonte trolling last night. Bonte was ready to fire back.
He was. That's what happens. These guys out here making my life hard. I try to show them a little love, and they be making my life hard, man.
You try
win
to
the
show,
game.
You try to show. Oh, the Kings.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a question. Who you going for Wednesday? Who you going for Wednesday? Big game.
What are you talking
about? Come on. Big game for the.
Okay. Lake Show. Don't do that.
Big game for our squad. Big game for our squad.
You a Kings fan now?
Big game for our Lakers.
Stop it. Stop it.
It's a big game.
The media. I hate the media.
Yeah, big game. I know the Caraway house is going to be ready with the LeBron and AD jerseys on, the throwback Caruso.
There's nothing Lakers.
A throwback
in my
Caruso.
Man, was it for you to see Laker legend Caruso last night? I know it had to do your heart well.
My kid don't even like the Lakers. He born in LA.
Okay. All kidding aside, the Lakers are playing really well as of late. Really over like the last month and some change. I think they're 10-4 over the last 14. Jay, like what you watch them as closely as anybody. Like what's shifted for them in the last month or so?
They kind of went back to playing their best players. Playing. When they stumble and they get away from that. When they D'Angelo Russell's been playing ever since they tried to send him to Atlanta. D'Angelo's been hitting come to 3-point marksman. Reeves has played better. LeBron is LeBron. AD is AD. They don't play any defense right now, but hey, I guess that's not cool in the NBA anymore. But it's really offensively. They've when they're rolling now, they got shooters. I saw somewhere since January they're like upper half of the league in 3-point shooting, which is crazy because they started the year out and they couldn't hit anything. So I just think offensively they're rolling. And I think last night they showed that when they actually focus, they can still play defense. I mean, they, maybe it's also a Thunder thing because for whatever reason, the Thunder can't figure them out. They just beat the Thunder up every time they beat them. They beat them with 3 or 4 this year. So, but when they lock in and actually try to play defense, they still can do it. But offensively, they've been rolling. As long as LeBron doesn't set a record in a game, they got a chance to win.
Right. Dude, speaking of the Thunder, I think I might have asked this before, but I'll ask it again. I mean, are people looking at them like they looked at the Kings last year? It's a good regular season, but they're not ready to be serious in the postseason? Or is it a different feel with this team?
I think it's the same thing. I mean, you got a bunch of guys. I think maybe Shea was in the playoffs probably early with the Clippers, but then he wasn't.
That was a bubble playoff, I think, too.
I don't know. It wasn't. No, it wasn't because Paul George was already there in 2020, so it would have been 2019. So if he did, he was a rookie, second year, type guy who wasn't playing a crazy major role. I liked him. I thought he was a good player even back then, but he wasn't the man then. And then you get away from him. Really, they don't have really playoff experience. And I think whenever I watch them play a team like the Lakers, I say whoever they draw, if they get a physical team in the playoffs, they're going to have problems. And I just think everyone's kind of looking at them kind of like maybe like the Kings, or even how by the time Memphis got stripped down with injury, you look at them and say that they may be top 2 or top 3, but we don't know if there's a team in the bottom, the bottom, 3, 4 in that, whether it be 7 play-in range that OKC would be favored against. I think maybe the Warriors. I think they somehow got the Warriors, but I don't think they'd be favored against the Dallas or the Lakers or probably even Sacramento in that range.
They'd beat the hell out of Dallas.
I think so too.
Yeah, I just think that Luka factor might be the, Luka's still Luka, and if Luka and Kyrie go off for about a week, week and a half, that could be a problem for them.
Well, I don't want to steal your thunder, but I agree with KC. I think Kyrie is the factor.
Yeah, Kyrie to run.
Oh yeah, because I mean, when he's on, he's special. I mean, there's not many
guys on a lot lately.
Yeah, I mean, a guy that size too. I mean, he's not a big 6'5" type guard, but he doesn't matter when he's rolling.
Right.
The thing is, I just don't like that team. And maybe it's because of Luka, and it's the way that Luka plays. Like I just like Luka and Kyrie. Like what'd you say the other day? Kyrie's averaging like 20 something,
yeah, 27,
28 a game,
27 and 5. He's shooting like 55% from the field, 48% from three or something like that.
And that's like they're fine. Like they're no different. Yeah, they're no different than Sacramento. They haven't been able to, to separate themselves. Phoenix has their issues. New Orleans, they haven't, even though they look really, they haven't really found that steady ground. Dallas, they're just like everybody else.
Yeah. It's I said, I think outside of Denver, I don't know if there's a team in the West anyone really could say they believe in.
Right, and that's why you're talking about what we're looking at right now. The two teams that are playing the best in that cluster are actually the Lakers and the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's and then they both had not so fun part of the last weekend, especially the Warriors. Mm-hmm. But then the Lakers come back and they blow out OKC.
Mm-hmm.
So I just this is going to be a wild, weird finish. Like I said, this is a big game for the Kings and the Lakers on Wednesday.
Mm.
The Kings are parallel. The way the West is right now, you could go on a 5-game winning streak and be in the top 4, or if you lose 4 in a row, you're 10th or you're 10th.
Yeah.
So this is going to be it's going to be. We're at that stage of the season where every game matters, and you start saying, "Man, if we hadn't blown that game back in March or February, or man, those 2 losses in December look really bad right now." Because now it's going to come down to a game or 2.
I know the big X factor is LeBron James in this situation, but when I think about the Kings and the way they've played this year, a lot of people are like, "This is just who they are, who they're going to be." And I'm assuming a lot of people said that about the Lakers last year around this time. I think they were like 2 games under 500 around this time. And then they took off. What changed with them that you can look at this Kings team and say, maybe it could change the same way and they can be different than what they've shown all season?
Well, the Lakers went out and got a bunch of new players. That was the main difference for them. I mean, the team they had in March was not the team they had in February.
That's true.
And that was the big thing for them. The Kings didn't make any changes.
Mm-hmm.
This is just who they're going to. I mean, that's why I think this is who they are is kind of sticks more with them, because this, it's essentially the same team, and you don't have guys on this team who have shown if you get them in the postseason, okay, they can maybe turn it up a notch and get you a round or 2. I think with the Lakers last year, you had a new team, and people kind of said, you know what, you get LeBron and AD in a series, that's they can win a series or 2 based on those 2 guys, and the Kings haven't shown that yet. And I think a large part of that is it's the same team essentially from last season.
The Lakers made some moves. Well, who was the guy that couldn't play in the playoffs? Vanderbilt, Rui.
They got D'Angelo.
D'Angelo.
They started.
Did D'Angelo cry? Was that D'Angelo Russell who they thought when he thought he was traded?
Yeah.
Was that D'Angelo?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't remember.
He said it's like goodbye.
And it was like Austin Reeves, right? Yeah. Austin Reeves was trying to like settle him down.
He thought he was he got the word that he was gone.
Yeah. Was it Atlanta? It was
yeah. That was a rough night for D-Lo. I mean, he's at the free throw line. They're cheering, "We don't want you."
Oh, that's awful. Yeah, that was trash.
As if he was begging to be a Hawk. I mean,
well, no, I don't think it was the home crowd that was chanting, "We don't want you." Wasn't it?
No, they were in Atlanta that game.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a game in Atlanta, and they were chanting, "We don't want you."
Yeah, that's trash.
Whack. That's Hawks fans. It barely
like your team is ass. Shut the hell up. Like you should welcome. You
It's
should
like
welcome
it's like guess what? Trae Young doesn't want you either.
Yeah, he's just Trae Young's the first player in history trying to get to San Antonio.
He's like, please, do what you got to do.
Trae's the first black person in history saying, "Get me out of Atlanta and get me to Texas."
And not Dallas or Houston. Get me to the Spurs, please.
Get me to the
Riverwalk.
fun-filled Riverwalk.
They're an example of a team that
got
got
a rodeo road trip.
Yeah. They're an example of a team that got hot in the playoffs a couple of years ago, and it was fake.
Yeah, it's what Dallas was.
It's on now. It's like, no, chill. They ran into they won the first round, and they ran into the Sixers in the second round, which might as well be a bye because they're not.
Oh, damn! More Doc slander.
Hey, Joel and Ben deserved a lot of slander that series too. I know Ben got all the slander, but didn't Joel have like 8-9 turnovers? He's shooting threes, throwing the ball out of bounds. I mean, that just shows you how bad Ben was, because people kind of glossed over the fact that Joel was terrible. The last, we've never seen Joel Embiid. He's never gotten to the conference finals, and in those second round series, it's not like you watch him and go, "Oh, he was so dominant," but he's been part of the problem too.
Philly lost 3 home games in that series. That was crazy.
Yeah, that was and I think it'll go in Ben's montage. When he's done playing, I'm right at the rim and I'm 6'10", and I'm getting rid of the ball.
That's tragic.
That's tough. Well, the Lakers' opponent tomorrow night, the Sacramento Kings, are all over the damn place. They beat Minnesota on Friday, lose to Chicago at home, and now have this critical for both teams game coming up tomorrow. We're 60 games into this, man. Why is this team so up and down, Jay?
I don't know. I mean, legitimately, I turned off their game last night. I'm like, okay, they're up 20. They're going to win this. They check out the Lakers and Thunder, and then I get an alert. Close game. Kings are up by 4. I'm like, what in the hell happened? Like, what? I mean, it's just, and then, you just watch some of the mistakes at the end. They're just baffling. You can't inbound the ball. You get, Chicago inbounds the ball with like 14.8, and then they wait 10 seconds to foul. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, what are you? It's just like, these are just mistakes that you just go, what's going on? And I'm sitting there going, why aren't they fouling? It's a 2-point game and you have a timeout. They're a mistake.
Yeah, I think there's a little confusion as to what happened there. I think Mike thought there was an adjustment to the clock. They thought there was they had more, that the shot clock would expire and leave them like 3 or 4 seconds, I think it was. And then there was an adjustment to the clock where it was like, yeah, it doesn't leave you it leaves you like a second.
Yeah.
And that's, they got, so it was, listen, James explained it earlier today, but James had the conversation with Mike in the post-game presser. And I know, because this is the second time, by the way, that NBC didn't have the shot clock on the screen. So I'm sure I was like every other, like, why aren't you fouling? Well, they thought they had time to not foul and make a stop, when in fact they didn't.
Look at
but they still got to know
big clock in the arena, though.
Yeah, you got to know that.
You can't. That's inexcusable. There's a big clock in the arena.
No, I don't doubt that.
Whatever you thought before the timeout or whatever the case may be, when you step on the floor, you gotta know that.
But I think what Mike said is he doesn't know when the adjustment was made. So if you send everybody out to the floor and it's an adjustment of a second and a half or 2 seconds, and everyone's out on the floor, and then the adjustment's made. I mean, I don't know. I'm even the exchange between Mike and James was a little, because I couldn't quite understand what Mike was trying to say.
It's a confusing thing, because generally the officials will tell you when there's an adjustment.
Right.
And like I said, even still, when you walk out on the court, most guys will look at the clock again, and you would have, because I mean, when I'm watching on TV, it was like 14. I'm sitting there going, they're going to have about less than a second. What are they doing? So when I was watching, I could see it, but that was just between that and the out of bounds play. It's just like, what are we doing here? Like you
The
can't.
game ended with timeouts, I think, didn't they?
It's like, what are we doing here? It's like you can't be say you want to be a playoff contender and make mistakes like that.
They fell apart, man.
Mhm.
They fell apart in every facet.
And that includes Mike.
Yeah, in every
I
facet.
felt bad for poor Keegan. I'm like, you're asking him to check DeMar Rosen once he's cooking? I mean, good luck. I mean,
this is the best bet. He ain't putting nobody else on him.
I'm not knocking Keegan. I'm just saying that's a hell of an assignment to get. Was a 6'8", 6'9". Yeah, that's a hell of that's not an easy job. I mean, DeMar was cooking. Kobe White, was like Kobe Bryant. I mean, it just
he is like that versus the Kings. Like
I've never seen him, and I kid you not, I can't remember the time I've seen him have a bad game against either the Lakers or the Kings. Whenever I watch him, I go, my God, why isn't this guy? I mean, what do you mean this guy didn't start? I was like, this guy's amazing.
Right. Yeah. I can't. Nobody can figure this team out. I still think they can rebound from all of this. Like I said earlier, today's probably not the day for all that. I mean, what we saw last night was completely unacceptable. And it's not just the loss. You had a 22-point second half lead at home.
Mm-hmm.
You got to find a way to bring that home. We talked a little bit about Mike Brown at the end of the game. Do you think there was anything during that run? Like I keep saying, when the lead went from 19 to 14, I'm calling a timeout. I'm getting my starters back in there. It's that serious of a situation here in Sacramento to win this game that you don't play any games. Do you think something like that would have made any difference?
It could have. I think at the minimum, it would have reinforced the urgency of the game. Like, well, we can't play around with it. We have to get this.
Yeah.
You don't want, like I said, you don't want to go, it's like bad mojo going into tomorrow, which probably means they'll win by 15. But I mean,
you laugh, but that's what they do.
You know what? If the Kings won by 15 or lost by 15 tomorrow, neither would shock me.
Mm-hmm.
And the same with the Lakers. I mean, in a lot of ways, they're kind of mirror images, and just sometimes you don't know what you're going to get. But I think a timeout in that sense would have emphasized the urgency of the moment. But even, like I said, even you get to the late in the game, some of the ways those possessions the Kings had, they just didn't look or feel like there was an urgency in, like, we got to get this one. It didn't feel like that from them at times late. Like I said, that, just kind of like the mental lapses. It's like you can't get the ball in bounds. You still had a timeout. You cannot afford to give Chicago the ball back. And then they're getting second, offensive rebounds late, winning the hustle points type stuff. You can't have that, especially to lose that game at home.
Yeah.
You got to have that one.
Yeah, they're going to have to wear this one. We'll see how they respond, man. We'll see how. I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to disrespect these guys by saying how seriously they take the situation. They take it seriously. They're pro ball players, but it can't be this whole. It's 1 of 82 now. Like this is the time when you put your foot on the gas, and every game almost carries an importance of like 2 games at this point.
Like I said,
tomorrow absolutely does.
Yeah,
tomorrow's game actually because of the potential for the tiebreaker.
Yeah. Mess around this time of year, you have a one and done type situation in about 5-6 weeks. So now is not the time to play around. I think this is where you need your veterans and your stars to say, you know what, get on our backs. We're going to, we're not going out like that. And I just think like I said, with the Kings this year, it's not that they lose, it's how they lose. And sometimes that can be more. That can be the bigger issue. And some of it's how they lose these games. You're playing a team that's below 500, or you have, like this one, you have a big lead. And I think a year ago in that situation, De'Aaron might have been able to save them. De'Aaron hits a shot late, he's clutch, you escape. But, they're not getting some of those breaks in some of these games now. And the difference now was that the West is a lot tougher this year. So now the record you had that might have got you 3 or 4 might get you 8, which is crazy. But
Yeah.
You know, that's why these type of games matter. You know, you're going to look back in the mid-April and go, man, how things might have been different if you don't lose to a Charlotte or a Portland or a Detroit or no, a Detroit at home. You don't lose those games. You know, I mean, one of these teams at the bottom is legit going to miss the playoffs over some games like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dallas could miss the playoffs because they tricked off that game in Philly.
Yeah. The Cleveland game they had that could keep them out of the playoffs.
I mean, you know, it's up and down. The Clippers were blowing leads again, left and right. I mean, no, they may end up on the road in the first round because they couldn't hold on to a lead against Milwaukee without Giannis. I know they didn't have Russ, but I think not having Russ and versus having Giannis are completely different situations for those two teams.
Yeah, they should have had enough. They had enough last night.
Mm-hmm.
It's like care business.
Is there a team in the conference, the Western Conference, that you think that might be the one right there?
Denver.
It's still Denver.
To me, it's still Denver. I mean, they still got the best player. They have that we were champions or we've been champions confidence.
Mm-hmm.
They got a good coach. You know, and this time of year is when coaching really matters. You know, my man Tony Jones tweeted after that Laker game. He said the gap in coaching between Denver and LA was like humongous. And so, I mean, you got a good coach, good staff that's been together. You know, you've got, you know, Joker. You've got Jamal Murray, who in the playoffs becomes, you know, Allen Iverson. I mean, so if that happens, they're going to, you know, and they've got that confidence and that cohesion. I mean, that core has been together, what, 3-4 years now? And, you know, so, I mean, they you know, Gordon, Porter, Joker, Murray, KCP, when he gets back, you know, that's a good solid core, and they got that championship confidence. So to me, it's Denver until someone proves they can beat Denver 4 times.
What do you think about this as we'll shift gears? Because I do want your opinion before the show ends. Russell Wilson and the Las Vegas Raiders. You in?
I don't hate it. I mean,
that's a ringing endorsement. That'll be the slogan of the Raiders season. I don't hate it.
I mean, I don't know. Ideally, I would love for them to be able to. I mean, I know there's been talk about them maybe trading up into the top 10 and then trying to move up again to get, you know, get someone like, you know, like Jade McDaniels or something. I mean, someone like that. I would love for them to get their young quarterback of the future. No, I mean, but you know, they won too many games to be high up in there. But the problem is, if they had lost those games, they probably don't have the coach they want. So I think, you know, I would be fine with Russell Wilson. I don't think Russell's a bad player. I think Russell Wilson can still win games in this league, especially if he doesn't have a coach who hates him, who's trying to sabotage him.
Well,
I mean, we act like, you know, like Sean Payton really wanted to work with him. You know, and somehow Russell was still winning games with that team. So I would take Russell Wilson. I know a lot of my buddies who are Raider fans are like, no way. I'm like, but what are your other? I mean, if you're going to go with a veteran, who are your other options? Like you what?
Kirk Cousins
coming off an Achilles.
And Kirk's going to Atlanta. I told you.
I thought Justin Fields was going to Atlanta.
Kirk's going to Atlanta.
I don't know. We don't know.
I mean, I could see Kirk trying to get to it. I mean, you know, based on some of his post game outfits, I could see him really trying to get to the ATL.
Would you take Russell Wilson and draft a quarterback?
Yeah, Russell Wilson's 35.
But what do you think about Aiden? Aiden O'Connell.
I don't think Aiden's a future franchise guy. The only problem you got now, if you draft a quarterback in the first round and with a veteran, you really can't do both because of the way the contracts are set up. You can't draft a quarterback in the top 10 and not play him. It would make no sense to draft a quarterback, you know, and then not play him. So if you're taking a quarterback in the first 2 rounds, I don't think you can then bring in a veteran. You got to run with that young guy because you don't want to get to year 3 and like we don't know what we have. Right. So I think and isn't the free agency starting before the draft, and so you kind of want to declare your hand early, and then it's always awkward if you sign a veteran and then you draft a young quarterback.
So
and the guy's sitting there looking around like, hey, I got 4 years now.
So the caveat to that with Russ, though, is he could sign for nothing, right?
True.
He could sign for like $1 million or I don't know what the league minimum is, $1.5 million, $2 million,
that part is intriguing to me. You could get Russell Wilson for much cheaper than any quarterback they've had in recent times because Denver's got to pay. Was it $37 million?
Yeah, I think it's 39.
Yeah.
Wow, that's got to be one of the worst trades in sports history.
Oh, it's got to be. The fact that they took $85 million in cap money to break up with him.
Jeez.
That's like getting a divorce and being like, here, just take everything.
And all the assets they gave up to.
Oh, yeah.
That's got to be. Yeah, I can't. No, I think we ran a thing about the worst trades ever. Yeah. And I remember thinking that Carson Palmer trade with the Raiders years ago was bad. When they gave like a 1 and a 2 to get him off the couch. But yeah, this is. I mean, did Elway make that trade? Like,
I think he did.
He's not running things anymore, is he? Oh
no.
I mean, I wish he was.
Someone finally acknowleded he sucked, and it was like, hey,
I wish he was. His draft record was stellar.
Hey, buddy, you're not fired, but you're not working here anymore.
Elway.
Yeah, you ain't got to go home. You still John Elway. You can sit.
That's what he is.
Yeah,
Vlade Elway.
That's cold. Hey man,
Vlade at the Lakers game on Saturday.
Oh, Vlade Vlade love LA. That's my homie. But yeah, John did get a Super Bowl up back to him. You can say Peyton Manning. He did get a Super Bowl at least. But yeah, his draft record was just like, my God, John. Proof that because you were great at the game doesn't mean you can evaluate it.
I always get a kick out of the fact that they actually try to give Elway credit for that. Like, Peyton eliminated an entire conference and said, I wanted to play for a team that has a defense. You were down to like 2 teams, and he wound up signing with Denver. John Elway, it's like when Magic landed LeBron. Okay.
It goes on your permanent record.
We knew for 2 years LeBron James was signing in LA.
It goes on your permanent record.
Poor Magic sitting outside at 12:01 Western Pacific Standard Time, not knowing that free agency started 3 hours ago.
Hey, I allow no Magic slander. On this show, we like all Magic Johnson tweets, even though they're like, the Lakers won a game today by outscoring their opponent.
That happened. I love Irving.
My Commanders, they lost to the Giants.
Hey.
4 turnovers.
That
can't happen if we want to win.
Terrible. But he can't really go in on his favorite player of all time from his favorite franchise,
which is
the Lakers. We know who you roll with. You excited about?
You talking about me? I thought you were talking about Magic.
No, you.
See, that was so bad. He didn't even know you were doing an impression of Magic Johnson. You got to smile more when you talk. That's how.
Yeah. You got to smile. Yeah. But that's all good though.
My Commanders, boy, we're out here trying to win.
Okay, that's
enough. Let's talk. I mean, spring training is going on. I know you're excited about Ohtani.
Absolutely not. Baseball's dead to me right
now.
now.
I know you're excited about your boy Bob Melvin putting in rules.
I don't like that rule at all either. I don't know what you're
getting at. That was very
Wait, what's the Bob Melvin rule?
He's making everybody stand for the national anthem. Making them.
If you're if you're Bat Boys, everyone. He said it's the same rule he had in San Diego and in Oakland. I said, that's very non-Cal of you, Bob. I'm like, that's not a very UC Berkeley alum thing to do. But
why did this come up?
I have no idea. I thought it was like,
I don't know. I feel like he offered the.
I have no idea. Maybe it was the show. I'm not Gabe Kapler. Look what I'm going to do. I don't know. I'm like, how is this even a topic? But hey, like I said, good thing Kenny's a Dodger fan. He got to worry about stuff. Like
hey, don't curse at me like
that. Can I just? I've said this for years, and I'm going to repeat it. You can hate this take if you want to, but Colin Kaepernick is one of the most influential athletes of our generation. The fact that Bob Melvin said that out loud in 2024 is stunning to me. Absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
Outside of LeBron James, there might not be a professional athlete that's had more influence in the last handful of decades than Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, it's crazy because I'm like, why are we talking about this still? It's like
incredible.
it's like, but then he put the caveat. This is not political, though.
No, Bob Melvin just went to the top of the kiss my ass list.
It's not political. It's to show that the team is ready to play.
That ain't got what?
that they're united and ready to play.
All right.
Whatever.
People got really mad at me the other day because I said I'm very disinterested in this Giants team.
They're not a very interesting team right now. I mean, they're just not. I mean, and that's not. I mean, remove my obvious Dodger biases. I'm like, I just don't find them very. Even when they signed Chapman, I was like, this was like 5 years ago.
Who cares?
I'd be like, all right. But I'm like, okay.
Solaire's the only one that got my attention.
If they went to get my attention, they would have announced they signed Blake Snell.
That'll get my attention too.
That would have got my attention. Like, okay, Chapman. I'm like, this.
They hadn't done it yet, or they might not do it. I don't know.
Who knows? I mean, who knows? All I know is that, hey, before we get to baseball, Kenny, we got to get through, Wednesday.
Thanks for joining us today, Jason.
We appreciate you, Jay. Thanks as always.
All right, see y'all next week.